Welcome back to another edition of your favorite SEO Q&A session with your favorite two SEOs in the world. Christopher Gijos, that's myself, and sitting in the right side, we have Nicholas Esquire Altamore the third. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm not the third, but I'm doing just great. Really good.
Was that ever your name on
You
social
know,
media? Like some of
it
Esquire? What am I
it
thinking
might
of?
have been something dumb like that a long time ago. I'm trying to think, but it would have been a long time ago. However, Chris and I are as close to boomers as you can be in this industry because we were here at the beginning of fast internet. We're talking AOL days, etc. Some of this stuff that you kids are never going to have to deal with in your life. We came through up outside the
I
ashes,
was playing Counter-Strike.
burning.
I was playing Counter-Strike 1.6. It was probably before
Yep.
1.6. I was playing
Yeah, before
Counter-Strike pre
1.6, that was the final.
1.6 on a 14.4K modem.
Dude, sick. Yeah,
Dude,
I
it was
remember we used to
horrible.
get phone calls and it would knock me off the internet and I'd want to just, smash it.
Yeah, it was really bad on 14.4. Then we got 28.8 and other people were like rocking 56K at that point. We had 28.8, but that was still like a noticeable improvement from the 14.4, but
Dude,
it was still horrible by like today's
I
standards.
remember sitting with Charlie Haskins. We'd taken a bottle of liquor from my parents' liquor cabinet and we were upstairs in the game room, hidden inside of the in the nook back there drinking it, and he was telling me, and yeah, this is bad, we were really young. He was telling me about cable modem before it came out, and I was like, I don't understand what the hell you're talking to me about. And he's like, it's gonna be so fast and blah blah blah. I don't think I would have had my beginnings with the internet or computers at all if it wasn't for Charlie. Shout out to you for teaching my young ape mind how to just barely grab hold of some
You'd
of this
still be
stuff.
punching computers when they had an error or did something you
I
didn't
did
like.
that up until not too long ago. It's
Yeah, I remember
that's a
that.
hard.
What got you over your technical
I got a
uh,
better computer.
I feel like
That's basically
I feel like
that
at
one.
some
So
point though
that
you just got
computer
more like
particularly.
relaxed with it all. Like before
Yeah,
you
maybe.
were like very like aggro.
Yeah, I guess I kind of have Ryan to thank for that because he kind of helped me navigate the frustrations of like I feel like for a lot of people, me included, just asking the internet, YouTube and Google primarily, questions um, is something that just doesn't really resonate with you until you start doing it and you start heavily kind of relying on that exploration to help you figure out answers. And then at that point, it's a huge benefit, but it seems like that would be something that is just like a oh yeah right idea. But then now having this work ethic or whatever you want to call it for finding answers. Whenever I talk to people who don't work on the internet, who aren't very, computer savvy, and I'm like, yeah, just get on Google, ask it or ask YouTube, they kind of like scoff at it. It's like, no, 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 because I don't learn that way, or like I don't do that, or like, and it's like I remember being that person, but at this point now, I just kind of get disgusted about that attitude, if I'm being honest,
I think it's just like
because everything is, there.
I think it's just like a comfortability in like
For sure.
exploring stuff, exploring like kind of like unknown things.
Mm-hmm.
Um like for I see it a lot in like my parents who are getting pretty old now, where
Yeah.
especially like like technical stuff, something on the phone or the internet and it's not working and it's something very simple like they're clicking it and it's
Mm-hmm.
not like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's not loading
Wait,
or
what's
something.
going on?
And
What's
just like
going
the
on?
speed at which they get super angry is
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. I think a lot of people in SEO end up, I think you see kind of the same thing as well. It's like this big
for
complex
sure.
thing. It's overwhelming and they yeah,
Well, and
they get
especially if
very
you're working
spicy very
hard.
quick.
If you're working hard and things don't click after, a long period of time, then yeah, that meditative state of looking for questions or answers to questions, yeah, it might wear you down a bit. Speaking of stuff, I just wanted to show off my nerd here a little bit because I used to build these things when I was a kid. And the other day I got a hankering because I saw on Instagram how advanced they'd gotten and stuff to build one of these. And so I want to show off. I don't know if there's anybody in our crowd that's a fan, but go ahead and like, comment, subscribe if you are. This is the first official Sir Links-a-Lot Gundam painted, done up by me. Oh my gosh, look at the subtle gold and green. You know, I was gonna put a little knight's head on him. I was gonna make it out of clay maybe. But yeah, now he'll sit right here by my computer. And maybe one day, you know, if we get popular enough, we'll make a bunch of these little guys and send them out to y'all so you can have them right there on your computer. I'm kidding, because this thing took me like fucking 6
We'll
hours.
make a Gundam
You know,
merch store on our site.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was making this, I was like, it'd be cool to have like different variations of Sir Links-a-Lot, the brand, you know, so he could be a mech warrior at times and stuff like that. Pretty cool. But hey, I'm proud of this little thing. I know some of you nerds out there collect these too. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe if we're on the same team.
All right,
That was a fun time.
let's get. I think we're gonna go ahead and finish the small talk here, if that's all right with you. And it looks like we got a bunch
Well,
of people pouring into YouTube right now, which is cool. I thought today was gonna be a
all right.
slow day, to be
All right.
honest, since everything's kind of slowing
Same.
down in the SEO world right now at this time of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, guys? What's up, Cheap Flights? What's up, DJ Francisco, Ively, Teeth Health Central? Got a CS:GO lover in the chat.
DJ Francisco, that's a new name I haven't seen in here.
I didn't play much CS:GO. I was more on the 1.6 train
Yeah,
a
same.
long time ago. Ultra boomer, I guess.
People people still play 1.6, I think.
Really?
I thought so. I can't remember if it was Go, the last one that I was playing on Steam, or if it was 1.6.
Um, so this one isn't really a question. So Teeth Health Central says there's an update in late November as my site has gone down. To be honest, it's been going downward since October. It's a site that I acquired, and currently I'm updating old posts, outsourcing new content. Yeah, it sounds good. You know, adding new content to the site when it's not doing well. You know, of course, adding new backlinks if it's not doing well. It would take, you know, if you want to send us a message, send us a private message so you don't show your site to people on Facebook.
Yeah.
We can look at it for you if you want on stream, but we'll, of course, not show anything that would identify the site. But yeah, let us know if you have any questions. Seems like you're kind of on the right path with updating content and stuff, but there, of course, is a lot more that could potentially be causing the problem.
Yeah, also, you know, when you're considering you're updating your content, updating old posts, you know, based on where they were currently ranking and then how and what you're adding, I don't know what you're doing, but I'll tell you what I really like doing, and we do it a lot, is especially, you know, when we've got articles that were pre our time of using Surfer SEO. You know, we really like to optimize content using Surfer SEO, and this is not a paid shill or anything like that. We literally just use it. I don't even think we have an affiliate link or anything for them. But that is a quality product when it comes down to revamping some of your older content or even writing out new content to spec so that it's Google crawler friendly.
Cheap Flights is saying, please do not show my website name on the live stream. I don't know. I'm not really sure why you're saying that. Did you send us the site somewhere to look at? But yeah, we don't ever show people's sites unless they, yeah, we just never show people's sites on live stream. The only sites we ever show on live stream is if someone like shows us a website that they found and want to know, like basically how it's ranking so well or something like that. But yeah, if you want us to look at your website, we'll never show it on live stream. Just send it in a private message to us on Facebook. That would be the best way. All right, so let's get down to DJ Francisco. My main page on my website dropped out of my main keyword. I used to be on the first or second page of the SERP, and all of a sudden I was nowhere to be found. Other pages show up great for keywords. Um,
I'm having
so,
a hard time reading, Chris. You got like a million windows open in here, or it's all broken up for me.
I'm not really doing anything weird. I'm not really sure why.
Well, I'm just saying the screen that you're sharing, I
Hmm.
can't read the entire question anywhere. I don't know why it's showing up like this. Oh, okay, hold on. Actually, let me move this around. All right, good.
But yeah, DJ Francisco, that's gonna we're gonna have to see more than
Hmm.
we can't really answer that question. There could be
Well,
a million things that could be
but
causing
but
something
we
like
can,
that.
yeah, we can kind of talk about it. All right, so like if when you're a little bit newer to SEO and you get into page 2, 3, all of a sudden you hit this moment where you're like, oh, dude, I'm making it. I'm really doing well. But there's a lot of volatility involved in getting from page 2 to 3 to page 1. Sometimes you might pop up into page 1, disappear back out into 2 or 3. Sometimes you might do the opposite, which is what happened to you, right?
Well, he's saying he
There's a
popped up
lot
to
of
like
different
page one and
reasons.
now he's nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. So depending on how new your site is, depending on what kind of things you're doing to that particular page or that particular site, like maybe you're a newer site that's adding a lot of power in the form of backlinks. Maybe you're a newer site that is starting to resonate in these top 3 pages, but you haven't quite solidified into those points yet, right? Google does a lot of testing, a lot of prodding, kind of moving sites around and deciding based on an analysis of what goes on with those sites where your site should be held. And so when you're popping up on those first 3 pages, if you dip out, don't freak out over the course of like 5 to 7 days, right? Or even maybe 2 weeks. Just keep your campaign going per usual. Sometimes this is going to be like a testing phase for the newer sites. If you kind of make the wrong moves, if you start freaking out, it's kind of going to cue that there's something unnatural going on a lot of the time. So you just want to keep your campaign going steady, normal. I would advise at this point in time, if you're building backlinks, naked, branded, random anchors, mainly to the homepage. Try and get things to stabilize. Right now, where you want to be is a normalization of your backlink profile, keep content going, etc. But it sounds like something what a newer site might do, or a newer page that's kind of being tested and prodded. If you're showing up there at all, it's a good sign.
What
So note that.
what's also a good sign is that he's saying his other pages are still popping up just
Yeah.
fine. They're still ranking just fine for the
Mhm.
keywords. So the good news is it doesn't sound like you have any kind of like penalty or anything like crazy going on, right? It's just like Nick said, it could be popping in and out. Sometimes stuff does that. It'll just disappear for no
Yeah.
reason, even if you've been in a top ranking position for a very long time. It
Hmm.
might just pop out for a while. Um, what are some other things you could check? You
Mm,
know, maybe, I mean, I guess make sure that the page is indexed.
well, I mean, if it's
Just some
popping,
simple
yeah,
stuff.
in and out, then it should be. But
Well, now he's just saying it's
yeah.
gone. Um, that's why I was
Well, out of
ranking
the
to.
first couple pages, right? Yeah, I guess if we knew how old this page was, it'd
He
probably
says
help
the
out a little
website
bit.
was built in 2005 and the
Sure.
ranking dropped out in February. So it was a long time ago and it has not come back.
Oh,
Um,
well, that's a yeah, that's going to be different.
yeah, so that kind of changes the way
Um,
we're going to answer this.
you could start by looking up volatility in the SERPs using something like Algoroo, which shows you SERP volatility whenever there's a update happening, or they're kind of shifting things up in the SERPs. It'll show it there. And then based on that, you could kind of reassess by looking at your competitors and what they have that you're lacking in.
Wait. So
Because
DJ,
obviously,
sorry, Nick, I just want to pause you real quick. So I'm
yeah.
getting kind of mixed messages here from Francisco. So is your ranking just off of page one, or is it just out of, because now you're saying out of the first 10, oh, out of the first 10 pages, my bad.
Yeah, since February.
Okay,
So
so
something went
it's
wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Go
And
ahead.
so no, it's fine. So now, what I would say your best recourse of action is compare that article to your competitors, compare the backlinks profile of that article to its competitors, and then based on that, come up with a kind of profile of what you would want to see or what Google probably wants to see in order to get you up there. So places to look. We just mentioned optimizing content using Surfer SEO. That's probably a good thing to give a try to. Look through your backlinks, see if you haven't done anything that might make it look unnatural. Maybe, back in January and December, you were hitting it with exact match PBNs to try and muscle up past your competitors, and in turn, you actually harmed your campaign. Not to say that you can't do that, but it's just a lot of times people get close and then they make the biggest mistakes by over optimizing things, thinking they can just do exact matches to muscle things up, etc. When really what you want to do is just keep things natural. But if this much time has passed, which is almost a year now, and you dropped out, then you dropped out of favor altogether.
Yeah, so I'm
So
gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna say we're guessing because we can't really see everything ourselves here, but I'm gonna guess that it's not your off page because the rest of the site's doing just fine. I'm gonna guess that and like Nick said, it's not like you just fell off like onto, page two or page three or something. So it's not just that you're like falling
yeah.
behind the competition slightly on your content or something. It seems more kind of like a big issue. Or not a big issue, but the issue I would look into is if your content matches the search intent. So basically, like if your website or your keyword or whatever is like um, so basically is your content like informational or is it like trying to sell? And then see what the top rankers are doing. Um,
Mhm.
like so, when people search for your keyword, is your content actually matching what they're trying to find, or is it just not matching up at all? I feel like that's probably gonna, well, that would be my first guess of where I
So
would be looking.
yeah, and in you talking about that, it's like, all right, well, based on algorithm shifting, maybe look back there. Maybe when you were ranking for that, it wasn't a bunch of huge properties. Like, when we talk about like affiliate sites and stuff, a lot of the little ones over the last bigger updates got crushed out by the big names, Amazon, Walmart, etc. Right? See what's popping up for that SERP and what kind of sites are kind of gaining interest there.
Just to give you,
Um,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's all right. And there was one other thing that I thought, oh, right. Something else you could look at is maybe keyword cannibalization. Maybe you had this article up and then you're like, well, I'll just build some support pages to it. And inadvertently, you created some competing pages in that SERP that now confuse the algorithm. And in that case, you'd need to look at those competing pages and differentiate them from the one that you wanted to rank using permalink structure, title tags, etc.
And just to
That's just some options.
just to illustrate my example a little bit better, because I feel like my words aren't very good today. For example, so you want to match search intent, right? So, for example, let's just pretend the keyword was iPhones, and when you go look at the top ranking sites that are ranking for the term iPhone, let's just pretend that all of the sites that were ranking were like, what is an iPhone? All about the
Yeah.
iPhone, iPhone features, what the iPhone can do. It's basically informational content about the iPhone. And your page that you were trying to rank for iPhone was like, buy an iPhone here. So this would be an example of your page not matching the search intent of the keyword, Google is saying we want content that's about basically just giving information about the iPhone rather than trying to sell an iPhone. And this happens all the time where Google will just, they'll just maybe slowly over time, or sometimes it even happens pretty quickly. Well, they'll just decide, okay, this SERP is no longer a selling SERP. This is now an informational SERP. So I don't know. That's what I'd be paying attention to if I were you. But yeah, like we were saying, DJ Francisco, I haven't seen your name around here before. If you want us to look into things a little bit more, be sure to join our Facebook group, SEO Roundtable. And you'll see me and Nick in there, and you could, or you could just send one of us or our Facebook business page. You could send us a message with your site so that you're not showing it publicly, and we could look in things a little bit more in depth. All right.
Yeah, if we've got time today, we could do a site audit, quick site audit.
Also, we skipped a question up top on accident. Sorry, Ively. Let's go ahead and get this one real quick. Is it safe doing parasite SEO? I like this question because parasite SEO, just the name sounds very dangerous. Like it sounds like something that's like super black hat and it sounds dangerous. It doesn't sound safe. For those of you who aren't aware though, I'll just pull this up real quick so we can just take a look at it together. Probably not super necessary, but hey, get to do something cool on the screen. So it says, parasite SEO is a process of posting articles or web pages to high-ranking Web 2.0 sites or social media platforms. So basically, parasite SEO is you're using something on a very high authority website, such as a Web 2.0 site or a social media site, so that it will rank very easily instead of actually creating a website or a page on your website about it. The reason,
a lot of times in aspects to stealing somebody's brand too.
well, one of the reasons for doing this is just because you want to take up more positions on the SERP rather than just one. And it's also just a shortcut, right, to use just the existing authority of these sites instead of basically having to build authority from square one on a brand new site or having to buy an expired or an aged domain or something and start from there. But yeah, it's completely safe. There's nothing unsafe about it, right? I don't really
Would
know.
you say that it's really effective at this point in time?
Sure. I mean, so for example, like for your brand or whatever, if you wanted to like take up like more spaces on page one for your brand, you could like make some like Web 2.0s or even like press releases or whatever can rank quite well, or just have big social media profiles and stuff like that, and they can rank pretty well pretty easily, right? In my experience. It depends what you're trying to do with it.
So a lot of times parasite SEO is exactly what it is, right? You're trying to parasite somebody else's brand reputation and go after their traffic spots, right?
Wait, I think we're talking about something different. I'm talking about parasite SEO is just like you're just using like Web 2.0s or whatever because it'll rank very easily.
Take up. Right. Yeah. But a lot of times too, I thought, parasite SEO historically, the idea was when it first kind of started, you're buying Web 2.0s, you're branding it this name of somebody else's brand or somebody else's product.
No, I'm talking
you're
about
trying to take real estate up.
I'm talking about something you
for their particular
you could do that with it, but I'm not talking about that specifically. That's a little bit more nefarious.
Well, but I think that's what parasite SEO was when it originated. The entire concept was stealing somebody else's traffic.
So Ively, if you're still there, go ahead and let us know if that's what you're talking about. If that's what you're talking about, I wouldn't say it's unsafe. I would say it's extremely unethical. But I'm just talking about. I think the general way people use parasite SEO now, at least, is just. It doesn't have to be nefarious. It's just using high DA sites or whatever that you can put content on to rank very easily. You don't have to be going after someone else's brand or whatever. You're just using it as a way to take up more real estate. Historically, people have
Hypoth-
even done it to defend their own brand reputation. So let's say
yeah.
they had some negative press come out about them. Well, one of the easiest ways to get rid of the negative press is not actually to get rid of it. It's actually to push it off of page one by having more stuff rank on page one about your brand. And so that's when,
Mhm.
this kind of stuff would come into play, where you could, just use Web 2.0 to Web 2.0, social media, whatever, that can rank a lot easier and get it up there and push the other bad stuff down. But yeah, so like Nick was saying, there is this other, you could also use the same thing and put someone's brand name in it and basically rank it to try to either steal their traffic or to damage their brand. Both of these
Mhm.
things, they're much more nefarious, and it's not something we really condone.
It's
But
also,
it it
it's
would
not
it would
something that I
work,
think.
and I don't think it's unsafe either.
I was going to say, I don't think it works quite as well as it used to, and mainly because when you're building these Web 2.0s and stuff around a brand, typically they interlink to one another, right? Or there is some kind of movement together based on something that Google can analyze, and I think they've gotten better at that over the years. And so now it's a bit harder to steal um, SERP positions for somebody's brand or somebody's like main gimmick, etc. Right? Either way, yeah, it is a nefarious practice. Anybody that practices negative SEO or stealing somebody's SERP positions or something, in my opinion, as far as being an SEO goes, you're not a very original thinker. Like it's more like you like the nefarious aspect of quote, you're some sort of hacker or something like that. But really, you're not really optimizing your budget towards a campaign that's going to benefit you in the long run. Like maybe if you're a very well established SEO and this is part of what you do. I mean, like, we look at mega corporations and they do stuff like this to snipe, um, business from smaller targets all the time. But overall, if you're watching the show and stuff, just focus on building a good campaign, focus on your own campaign. You're going to end up doing better overall, and you're not going to waste as much time, energy, or resources in general on, trying to practice something that's, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to,
Just to add,
it's not going to resonate as well as if you work on your own
and just to
stuff.
add one more thing. So, if we're talking about the non-nefarious parasite SEO, you're just talking about the practice of using high DA stuff to rank easily. Um, I will also add that if you're doing it basically to rank and make money like as an affiliate marketer, the stuff generally does not convert as well as if it was on an actual website. People see it on some kind of Web 2.0 or whatever. It just tends to be a lot cheaper and a little bit like less trustworthy and stuff. And so when possible, of course, it's always better to have your more established actual site ranking for this kind of stuff than the parasite stuff. Um,
Now, on the same token, if we're talking about Chris's, parasite SEO, then is it worthwhile to build these branded Web 2.0s and social profiles? Absolutely, because why not start from the very beginning, protecting your brand, protecting those SERPs, being the first one on the scene, maximizing what shows up for you. You're insulating yourself about bad reputation management, etc., right out of the gate, and you're building pillow links and a natural foundation of backlink profiles, right? So I would say if you're starting out with a new site, then go ahead and start considering that you want to take up as much real estate for your immediate terms as you possibly can.
We could even, yeah, so that's what I was talking about. So I was kind of moving on from like the brand stuff and saying like, you could actually do this stuff for like affiliate content.
Mm-hmm.
For like keywords that you're actually trying to rank and make money off of, you could leverage, so the high authority of
Yeah, I
these
just
sites and try to rank that stuff. But that's the stuff that it tends to not really convert as well. And I mean,
well, and I can't remember the last time I saw a good affiliate term with Web 2.0's ranking in the SERPs,
Yeah.
to be honest. You know, that's a long time ago if I think about it.
Yeah. But people do try to do it. If for just as much as maybe knocking some of the other stuff off the page, so that
Hmm.
maybe your actual website that you actually want to be like the number one spot, maybe it's like one of the only like kind of good looking choices up there, and maybe that one ends up getting the lion's share because of it. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, hopefully this helps. Kind of a meandering answer with a bunch of different ways that we went on it. um,
It's all right. I assume that means we probably answered the question no matter
all right.
how they were, positioning it.
So, Teeth Central sent us the site to look at. He says, okay, so I'll put this up first and then we'll actually go look at the site. This is going to be a little bit of an audit type situation. All right, there was an update in late November and my site has gone down. To be honest, it's been going downward since October. It's a site that I acquired and currently I'm updating old posts, outsourcing new content. All right, and he gave us the site to look at, and I'll go ahead and throw that up so you guys can have something to look at.
You didn't get that URL in there, did you?
I don't think so. I'll do it again just to be sure.
Okay.
This looks good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He says it's a site he acquired. He acquired it. Been going down since October. Okay, so someone else built the site and he, I guess, bought it. And
Acquired it.
it looks like it's actually been
Stole
going
it.
down since May. This big peak right here. This big peak right. Why isn't my thing working? This big peak right here was in May. All right, so yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and just hop into it. Yeah, it looks like it had about a 50% decrease since May.
Traffic wise, organic keywords are actually steadily moving
So
up.
October,
So it's like
sorry, I was just this
you
little peak right here is when he's saying it started dropping since then.
mm,
And yeah, like Nick was saying, actually since October, which is right about here, your keywords are actually going up very nicely, which is generally a sign of just these two graphs together, the traffic and the keywords graphs. These things together, we kind of just look at them like, is the site healthy, right?
hmm
And seeing, so you're seeing, you're saying you're dropping since October, but overall, we haven't made a newer, if you're looking at like a stocks graph, you haven't made a newer low yet, right?
Yeah.
So, you did lose some traffic from here to here. But yeah, it's not like a massive thing quite yet. And
Yeah.
you're seeing and you're seeing the keyword growth right here, which shows us that, it doesn't really look like this is exactly a bad thing.
No, at an immediate assumption based on what I normally see when this is going on,
Mhm.
your overall site is healthy. However, you've lost favor for some of the main traffic terms that you once ranked for. This can happen due to a lot of different things, namely, changes in competition for those particular SERPs, or maybe, your site fell out of favor due to it not looking too natural, and now you're slowly building up towards the trust flow that would allow you to access those SERPs again. But yeah, we can go ahead and
Yeah,
I
before
guess
we
kind
jump
of
into it, I'll
dive
just say
into
one
some of
more
that.
thing. 833 referring domains with a DR of 17 um,
Yeah.
makes it seem like the links that you
Did you buy this site and start spamming it? Is that what
just
happened?
this would tell me that without really looking at it, that your links are, or at least a good amount of your links are kind of just like junk or low quality or just very low authority.
Place a bet on
Doesn't
Web
mean doesn't mean
2.0.
that you can't have good links in there. Just that this number is very high and this number is not too high. Like we'd want to see this
Mm-hmm.
number probably more around like 30, 40, 50 for this amount
Yeah.
of backlinks. Um, but yeah, let's go ahead and look into things a little bit further. Here, I want to just see how big the site is real quick.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small site, actually. It's got 157 pages. I mean, it's not small, but it's not huge. 157 URLs that are indexed. For 157 URL site with 10K traffic, it's also not that not too shabby. All
No, I'd say you found a nice little niche here.
right, we'll go ahead and look in. We want to start going anchors, I guess.
Anchors, yeah. So typically, for those of y'all that are kind of newer, since it looks like we've got a lot of newer viewers
I
here,
just want to check something real quick.
we from Ahrefs, we're looking, at the overall picture right there on the home page. Then we're going to anchors a lot of the times because it's going to give you an idea of how natural things are overall. When you see a lot of exact match or long tail keywords taking over, more real estate than you see branded naked generic kind of anchors, then something's probably unnatural just right out of the gate right there. You can see it very obviously. And then we like to move to backlinks from there.
So I kind of went ahead and I wrote something on here. I went and looked at something else real quick. I went into his
Mm-hmm.
backlinks and I clicked the little button that says exclude subdomains. And the reason I did
Sure.
that is because sites are just getting spammed extremely commonly with Web 2.0 stuff, especially Blogspot. And so you can see his referring domains before was about 833. And then when you say, okay, now let's look at everything that's not a subdomain, so it's not a Web 2.0 essentially. He's only got about 249 referring domains.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you have 249 actual referring domains, not including the
So
Web
it's like a
2.0 crap,
third.
and then you look at the DR17, I'd say it actually looks pretty okay. These two numbers match a lot more than 1,000 or 833 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, let's go ahead and look in the anchors real quick. Anchors, I'm also going to click exclude subdomains. We're not looking at the Web 2.0 anchors. It's got a URL up at the top, URL anchor. And I've got some image anchors. We got a brand name right here, some miscellaneous, some long tail, more URL. I would say it looks like a pretty natural looking anchor profile right
Yeah, it
here.
looks pretty good.
Um,
But if we add subdomains, what's it looking like?
so add subdomains. You're just gonna,
Mainly those long
yeah, just kind of
tails,
the,
like you see with a bunch of Web 2.0 spam.
yeah, we can go ahead and look at that real quick if you want. Yeah,
Well,
see,
I
it's all
think
this
we know where.
blogspot crap.
Yeah, they're all blog spots and stuff. Yeah, which is typically auto-generated, content, and we see it all over the place. And it's been like that for like a few years now that you just see it everywhere. That or the image, the empty image anchors, those have kind of
Yeah,
stopped being so prevalent over, maybe the last year or two.
yeah.
But yeah, Web 2.0 spam everywhere.
Um, so what was I about to say?
So
Anyway,
overall, I mean, like
anchors look fine, yeah.
you're yeah, they look all right. When we exclude the Web 2.0 spam, but even with the Web 2.0 spam, I wouldn't say that anything looks too bad, right?
Hmm.
I would still stick to from here wanting to be more natural with my anchors over time. And so from there, I guess we can check out backlinks, see what kind of stuff they're using, if they're diversifying.
Oh, so he's also this site's in our MLB program as well. He just joined, I
Yeah,
think, somewhat recently. Um, but yeah, I mean, so I'm not really seeing anything too bad in here. Let's go and look at backlinks real quick. Um, Sort by DR. I'm just looking for relevance right now, basically.
I'm seeing a mix of directories, possibly what are guest posts, a press release. So you are pretty well diversified in what you're doing. As far as your backlink profile looks at a glance, majority of these are pretty natural anchors that we're getting from the higher authority sites, majority anyway.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't see anything wrong with this site.
No.
I think it boosted up. I mean, at least as far as the off page goes, I guess we could look at the site itself. We don't really do like on page audits.
No, but my guess is, so based on what I'm
We got a
looking
bunch
at,
of
my
best
guess would
here.
be,
Here, let's see.
oh,
Let's
well,
see something
yeah,
real quick.
that's something. So yeah, in recent times, affiliate sites that obviously go after best or review have been hit. I would say that's way too much.
It's not the worst.
Yeah. It's not the worst, but it's up there. I mean, like as far as putting best in your permalinks now, I actually don't do it at all in recent times. I've changed everything to be broad focused. So, if it's like nail trimmers, my permalink's going to be nail dash trimmer, not best dash nail dash trimmer, which is what a lot of people do. So based on this, my guess is it has to do with some of these on-page issues, right? Because you've got like best not only in the permalinks, but in the titles and then sprinkled out throughout the articles as well. So over-optimized for an obvious affiliate site. And then on top of that, a lot of these smaller sites, like we were talking about earlier, got beat out by the bigger sites, Walmart, Amazon, etc., for the, the terms that were a little bit more broad, that probably resonated with a bit more traffic to you. So, if the target was nail trimmers, there was an algo shift. I think it was December where we got it really heavy, where we saw a lot of the higher authority sites take over positions for the smaller niche down sites. I think at a glance, if I was going to give you advice about what to do with this site right now, I would go and at least adjust the permalinks and the title tags to be less based around best and review, and to be a bit more generalized, towards the actual specific product. So if it was nail trimmers, where we have best nail trimmers in 2021, the reviews and top picks, we would go in and we would do, the permalink would be nail trimmers, nail dash trimmers, not best dash nail dash trimmers. So just nail trimmers. And then make sure you're 301ing that old page to the new page, right? And then for article title, using best there every once in a while sparingly is fine, but what are some synonyms or different terms we could use to resonate with the same thing? Our favorite nail trimmers of the year. Check out our guide, something along those lines, right? But what we're seeing here is predominantly all of your pages are kind of structured the same way. They're about best and reviews, which is a telltale sign recently that this person is monetizing this traffic, and a lot of times that's not in favor anymore.
I'm just looking up some of the competition for some of his content. Look,
yeah, but Bob Vila is
yeah. Well,
that's a massive
so some of the competition here is
site.
quite high authority. So it's going to be hard to
That
outrank some of the stuff. I was just looking at the content itself and trying to see if it was just kind of similar. And it does look pretty similar as far as the length of the content, kind of how it's laid out and stuff like that.
They're using Best a lot, it seems to.
Yeah, they are. So
So it might be more of an authority
yeah, I wouldn't
issue.
worry so much about the best stuff. I mean, his site, what I looked at, it looked like it's about like 50-50 best content and other content. I don't know if I'd really
Mhm.
focus on that too much. But yeah, the content looks pretty much in line with the other stuff.
All I know is my site that was structured the same way, using lots of bests. When I went in there and shifted out of that, I got exponential increase in
Just
traffic.
gonna look at one more of his articles real quick and just see what the authority of his competition's looking like on that one real quick too. Where does site go? And keyword, we'll just take that. No. You know, you can definitely outrank some of
These
the
are
stuff.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not really seeing too much of an issue here with stuff, to be honest. I think if you stay on the building links train, you stay on the revitalizing content, adding new content train, and maybe keep an eye out for check out what some of the most recent updates were as far as affiliate content goes, and just making sure you're kind of following the trends as far as what Google likes to see for affiliate content these days. I think this site could perform just fine. I'm not really seeing any big red flags here. What about you, Nick?
And before, no, not at all. And before we say anything, I mean, like, your site's doing well
Yeah.
overall, right? Like, it looks like what we said is right. You fell out of favor for some of the heavier traffic terms you once ranked for.
Hmm.
Um, and so typically when that happens, but we see organic rankings are, continually going up, it's just a matter of authority in a lot of times.
Just want to see what he is ranking for real quick. Turn off this other add-on. He's still ranking for some pretty high volume stuff. Um, if I just
Yeah.
had to do a quick guess, because of some of the content was one of the SERPs that we looked at had some very high authority players on it, and then the other SERP that we looked at looked much more doable. So what it looks like to me is maybe over time, either some big competition got into the game, or for certain SERPs, for certain keywords, Google has started preferring this much higher authority stuff, much higher authority sites. But yeah, other than that, I don't really see anything wrong with your site. It looks healthy. Your off page looks fine. Um, yeah, I just think it's a matter, I think it's a matter of just maybe the SERP shift, certain SERP shifting to prefer a higher authority, and I think that's just the end of the story. It's not exactly a fun answer because it's not exactly fixable. You can't just say, well, hey, add a ton of authority, because of course, well, you can add a ton of authority, but adding a ton of authority takes money, in backlinks. Um, but yeah,
And
I think
time,
I think
yeah.
your site looks great. I don't really see any big problems here. Just keep doing what you're doing. We like seeing the keywords go up like this, and then yeah, just keep building links as well, and your site will start becoming more competitive with some of those bigger players on some of the harder to rank keyword terms. You have anything left to add, Nick?
No, I think that's good.
Um, let's see.
We got a lot of people asking questions today. Unfortunately, we cannot go over today. End of the year means we are very busy.
Other than the homepage, is it good to build links on a category page, giving juice mainly to posts of that category? Yes. That's one of our favorite things to build links to is to the homepage and to like big hub pages. So a hub page could be any kind of page that goes and links out to a bunch of other content on your site, and category pages are a good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything left out on that one, or are we just going to cut it short at that?
No, I mean, I think that's it. I mean, like category pages and hub pages, right? Like it's any page with a bunch of interlinking going out to, whatever that part of your site's niche down on. And so it makes a great way to include naked branded generic kind of anchors, but since you're also not ranking, it's okay to throw in some more targeted keywords there, expecting that you're going to up the relevance of that hub page and therefore all the relevance of what articles are within that range as well. So you can get kind of creative with how you do your backlinks to these hub pages. Of course, I always stress we go to the home page mainly. But second tier to that would be the hub/categories pages.
Yeah. Yep. So don't really have much more to say on that. We love linking to category pages. Good tactic.
Mm-hmm.
I see Google is not indexing Web 2.0 and some of the old profile backlinks. What is it? Yeah. So if you're not quite totally in the loop on this, things are getting harder to index. And especially stuff that's basically user-generated content on sites that allow for user-generated content, which means like sites that you can sign up for and make a profile on, sites that you can sign up for and make a little mini website on a subdomain on, Web 2.0s. Basically, the internet's growing and getting bigger day by day. And a lot of these websites, citation websites, directories, Web 2.0s, profiles, whatever, all this stuff is just flooding the internet with just millions, billions of URLs, right? There's just so much stuff, so much clutter now. And Google, as they should, is saying, okay, well, a lot of this stuff does not need to be indexed. Like, it's just not important. It's not something that anyone ever really wants to find. People don't want to find, they don't care about your site's profile on imagefriendsharer.com or whatever, no one cares about that URL, or searcher doesn't at least. So yeah, stuff's getting harder to index. But we talked about this before in another live stream. Just because it's not indexed doesn't necessarily mean Google does not know about it. They're just saying searchers don't need to find this. So if you're doing stuff as far as like pillow linking, which is, basically all the stuff we're talking about, just links that anyone can go and create very easily. We still think these are a very important part of SEO. They keep everything looking normal and natural. Real sites get these, so your site should get them too. But yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about them not indexing. We still do them, and that's the end of it. We build them, and we're not checking to see if they're indexed or not. It just doesn't matter to us. The stuff that we want to see indexed is, of course, the pages on your own website that you're trying to rank, number one. And then, if you're getting backlinks built, if it's something like a guest post, niche edit, a PBN link, any kind of editorial link, anything like that, you want to see that stuff be indexed. But yeah, if it's stuff like Web 2.0s and profiles, Web 2.0, I'd kind of want to see indexed, to be honest. But
it depends how many you've got, right?
It kind of depends what it is,
how much they're being used or what they're being used for.
But yeah, as far as profile backlinks, I wouldn't check that at all. Or like citations, wouldn't check. Yeah, just a bunch of the user generated stuff. I wouldn't really be caring if it was indexed or not. And yeah, it'll probably continue to get harder and harder and harder over time for stuff to get indexed, because the internet's just getting bigger and bigger and more cluttered. And so yeah, that's just, I think, the trend that's going to continue.
Yeah, they have to store all this information somewhere, right? Like, and that costs them money, etc. I'll also say this, in comparison to from when I was newer to SEO to now, I worry about force indexing or checking whether everything was indexed, etc., even as far as like pillow links go. I don't check for indexation on anything anymore. I'm literally putting the orders in and I'm moving through. Now, not everybody has that networker budget and ability to do that. However, typically the more you do that, the more you're going to be able to focus on the macro picture of your campaign versus stressing out over things that ultimately should be sidelined and don't matter as much as somebody might think they should. So just my advice is to try and keep a macro picture on what your campaign's about. But of course, if you're ordering a niche edit or a guest post or something like that, you'd want to see it indexed, right? And pillow links, on the other hand, Web 2.0s, social profiles, etc., a bit more topsy-turvy.
All right. Um, what do you say about auto-generated backlinks like directory submissions? Do they hurt SEO? We don't use any auto-generated anything ever.
Well,
Uh, I mean, do
I,
you?
I mean, well, for directories, I might and when we say auto-generated, it means like the let's say Fiverr, because that's where you see them a lot. Um, they're probably inputting the same summary across X amount of directories,
Hmm.
which honestly, here's
I
what
mean,
I'm going to say
for
about
like
it.
a
I
directory,
would,
I would say it's fine.
yeah, it's fine. But is it going to benefit you all that much? Here's what we
No.
need to think about. What's natural, right? Joe Schmo the plumber goes in and he's like, I need to be on these directories, right? Um, And so, yeah, maybe not understanding how SEO works or that uniqueness is a factor, they would copy and paste into a bunch of directories. For a small site, there's a natural amount of these directories that you'd see somebody be in. Maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30, 50, whatever. But then on Fiverr, you'll notice there's, submissions to 1,500 directories, right? And so there's going to be a balance in what looks natural depending on the size of your site, etc. And so for directories, it makes sense that Joe Schmo would want to be found in random directories, even though they're probably not going to be found out there, right? But it still builds the overall picture about what the site's about. So even if you're just getting a little bit of niche relevance or business relevance or something like that, you can go ahead and do it. Now, don't expect to buy, a massive amount of these links, be using money anchors and stuff like that, and
Okay,
then
so we have
have
a
it
little bit of
resonate
an
well with you.
update for the question. So he says, I mean, sites like Blogspot are automatically
Oh,
linking to my site, kind of spam. Um,
we
so
ignore it usually.
yeah, we just ignore this stuff. I don't think, so Google's job, and which they've gotten better at, is to say, okay, this stuff is crap. We don't think the user did it. And, so basically everyone's getting hit with this Blogspot spam now. Um, like everybody, almost like every single website is getting hit with it. It's pretty crazy. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just continue moving forward with good link building. And yeah, I wouldn't really pay attention to it at all. Um,
On the same
oh,
token, if you've got a newer site and
yeah, that's what I was
this
about to
makes up
say.
99% of your backlink profile, then you're going to want to at least diversify using your own backlink campaign, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yes.
typically, not all links are going to hold the same amount of weight, right? So these Web 2.0s, Google knows that this kind of stuff is going on. And that's why I think over recent history, you'll come to find that it seems more like it's been omitted versus actually hurting your site. So if you add
Yeah.
natural backlinks from higher authority websites, etc., you'll kind of see that that takes over, what's kind of benefiting your site over the Web 2.0 spam hurting you.
Also recently Google just had well, they call it like this, a spam update. They're pretty vague about what it was
Yeah.
actually updating, but I really would not be surprised at all if a lot of that update had to deal with combating like this extreme amount of Web 2.0 spam we're seeing, because it's just
Yeah, it could be.
insane how much of it there is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the update, they were really vague about what exactly it was. Something about backlinks and spam, and we didn't really see much movement at all, as far as anything changing. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like Nick said, if it's a newer site, I'd feel a little bit more shaky about it because it's making up such a huge portion of your backlink profile. But overall, I think Google just kind of ignores it. And if anything, it might help your site index a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, I
um,
mean, I've seen a lot of people that get freaked out and then they disavow immediately,
yeah,
and their
I wouldn't,
rankings take a little bit of a dive.
yeah, I
So you
wouldn't
got to be
worry
careful
about
with just omitting them just based on, personal belief.
the only time I would consider disavowing this stuff is if you had good rankings and good traffic for quite some time. Everything looked solid, and you had an ultra crash and you couldn't figure anything out. And I would still say then I feel like this wouldn't really be the cause of that. But if you're really just grasping for straws at that point, then you could maybe consider disavowing the stuff if it makes up a very significant portion of your backlink profile. But I feel like in most cases it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't confuse you and that answers your question. Um, all right, I think we're just gonna answer this one more real quick um, from our group.
Mm.
It's not a big answer, I don't think, is it, Nick?
It will kind of
It's a
shake
big
out into a bigger
question, but
answer. Yeah, we can answer it.
all right. So to those of you who buy domains for the sake of 301 redirects, I found a domain with many relevant and one high authority links. I'm going to write one article on the topic and thinking of buying the domain and linking it to just the article. So he wants to 301 a site to one page on his website. Sounds like.
Yeah, either
Will I
that or
get?
because he's
Sorry, go ahead.
also hold on, let me see.
Says, will I get any benefit from it, or do I need to reinstate all the articles and get the domain index first before doing any 301?
So
Like,
basically, let's simplify this question and say this. I'm thinking about 301ing a domain to an inner page article. Okay.
it's
Right.
also an
Well,
expired domain, so he's asking later if he needs to get the domain like uh,
sure.
up
So
and going again.
in and of itself, I would say that 301ing the inner pages, even category pages, which used to kind of be okay, you can still get away with it if you're a massive, massive site, or if you just kind of know what you're doing. But with 301s being as tricky as they have in recent years, I would say just stick to 301ing to the homepage and don't overdo it. It's not like back in the day where you'd take a 301, even if it was aged and it was, a working site, you still kind of get volatility in the SERPs a lot of times when you 301, or you don't get much use at all, it seems, for a little while until all of a sudden you're popping up. It's like there's a trust factor in there that's, executed over time. Going to an inner page is it's a very easy way to look like you're manipulating search engine data, right? And so best practices don't do that. What's better is to find a similar domain that you can 301 to the homepage, and then you can execute 301s within the inner pages that were powerful of that old domain to your new articles, right? So like if you've got an article, best paint or best nail trimmers, um, you know, then you find a 301 to an old, I don't know, haircut website that had an article about nail trimmers. You would 301 that particular page to that specific page on your new website. But the overall 301 would actually be going to your homepage, if that makes sense. So it's like repurposing the old articles or the power of the old articles um, to your new existing pages rather than just taking that whole domain and 301ing it to an inner page. Um, I mean, that's just what I would say. I've done the categories pages before, and on some sites it works, and some sites it doesn't. Um, Even that, I would say, if you're asking this question, just don't do stuff like that. Just keep it as natural as possible.
What do you think about the second part of this question? Do you think he needs to build
So,
the
right.
301 site? Do you think he needs to actually
So,
rebuild all those articles and let it start resonating again before 301ing?
so this is going to depend on a lot of stuff, right? I can't give a foolproof answer to this question, but I can tell you what I've come to find in my experience with 301s. With expired domains, I typically build some sort of shell of a website to get it indexed first before I ever consider 301ing it to a new domain. With age domains, I typically look at how long it's been dropped or hasn't had content and how many index pages currently exist. If it's a higher value, then I might be more inclined to just 301 it versus building the old part of the old domain up and letting it resonate a bit. Now, having said that, there is also the fact that you could, at the very least, I would make sure it's indexed. That's just my personal opinion. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I would make sure it's indexed on a personal note. Um, and then 301. And if you haven't let it resonate with content, etc., what I've noticed is there's just a much longer delayed fuse to getting the benefits out of that 301, right? And sometimes it might also induce quite a bit of volatility before it gives you the benefits to that 301. And that's kind of to shake out, the paper handlers that aren't too sure what they're doing with the 301. Yeah, we're going to mix up some stonk and crypto lingo here. And so, essentially all these things, all these maneuvers have to do with shaking out people that, aren't too familiar. Or, let's think about it this way. What is a 301 essentially? How do you conceptualize it in normal terms? A 301 is a buyout of another company, hypothetical. That's what it's designed to emulate, right? So company A buys company B, takes over their brand, boom. It's all one brand now, right? However, that also can be, used in the form of manipulation with 301s that you might buy at an auction on GoDaddy or, any number of things. So versus 5 years ago when 301s were a lot more easier to, kind of imagine what you're going to transition to by using them. Now they're more topsy-turvy, but in knowing that kind of catalog that and add it to your advantage, what you need to know is 301s typically work better if they're more niche down and relevant to what your website's about. They typically work better if both are more established in the SERPs, both entities, meaning the money site and the site that you're going to use for 301. And what else? Kind of just froze there. Yeah, it has to do with being natural, but it might not resonate immediately. And so if you know that you've combed the backlinks, it's very niche down, everything was very clean, it had index pages, or maybe even it didn't, but it's just very clean, then over time, you have to understand that based on what you researched, it will add to your campaign in a positive manner. However, there might be volatility involved in getting to that stage, and it doesn't always last, a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. Sometimes, it's quite a bit of time before you notice this stuff resonate. And then there's ways to increase the ability to get them to resonate. So let's say I've got a 301 massive site that had a bunch of inner pages that were very powerful, lots of backlinks going to them. Repurposing those old pages like we were talking about earlier. So old page about nail clippers goes to your new page about nail clippers using a 301, right? So the main URL is going to the home page, but then you're still repurposing these old ones. Or something I like to do if hypothetical, I've bought a domain before that had lots of random URLs, /OX5G, whatever, because, they weren't search engine friendly people. and they were just building out these pages without really knowing what they're doing. Well, a lot of times I'll repurpose those into hub pages, and I'll use them exclusively for the purposes of interlinking, etc. But when you really mesh your 301 with your new domain and you show that there is work going into fusing these two entities together, you'll come to find that you can kind of get those 301s to resonate more positively and effectively quicker. So yeah, just a few things to consider. But just going back to the original question, 301 to the inner page with the main URL, not something that I would advise doing.
Yeah, so just to recap, like Nick just said, yeah, don't 301 the whole thing to the inner page. The better practice would be to 301 most of it to your homepage, and then if it had some articles that you had similar content to, you could go and just 301 those individual articles to individual pages instead of to your homepage. And then for the second part of the question, as far as it being an expired domain, do you want it, or should it be should you rebuild the old content and let it index and stuff before 301ing it? The answer would be it would be better. It's probably the best practice, but not necessarily necessary. But it will definitely increase your chances of things working out the way you hope for them to work out, which is rocket ship rankings, right? Yeah, I think that's pretty much summarized it though. Anything else to add, Nick?
Mm-mm.
All right, guys. Yeah, thanks for showing up today. We're gonna go ahead and call it there. Yeah. Do we have anything else to add? Oh yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Join us in our Facebook group, SEO Roundtable. Subscribe to our mailing list on our homepage at sirlinksalot.co. All of this stuff is important because here at the end of the year, we've got a giveaway coming up, which we haven't really been announced yet. But yeah, every year we do a giveaway about, around Christmas, New Year's time, kind of a holidays giveaway. So yeah, definitely stay in touch for that. We still got the guest post marketplace in the works. We got a bunch of stuff coming. And yeah, we will see you. Are we going to be back here next week?
I was thinking about that. Yeah, I think we will. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. I mean, probably not till the end of the month that we might take a day off.
Okay, so we will probably be back here next week.
Yeah, we'll be here next week.
But yeah, thanks guys, and we will see